Do it.
Power, the dark side.
And his old chimp eyes.
Welcome to the Taters podcast. I'm Kramer.
I'm Juan.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Tom, sometimes.
And this is the, what's it called? Series?
This is our mini-series called Kramer Watches Star Wars.
It also is named Kramer: The Force Awakens.
Or Kramer Gets Touched by the Force in inappropriate places.
I kind of like that one. This kind of seems like a nice surprise.
It's not a surprise.
The reason we're doing this series is because Star Wars Episode 7
will be coming
airs,
out in December.
and I have not seen all of the Star Wars movies, so we decided it was appropriate for me to go and watch all of them.
So for the next couple months, we're going to do a movie-themed episode. We'll just talk only about the movie.
And ridicule Kramer harshly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And try to answer his questions.
Okay, and the one we saw right now was Episode 4, A New Hope.
A New Hope. This is episode
About
4, A New Hype.
A New Hype.
The original.
Yeah.
I
Used to-
very,
it was
very
just-
much liked it.
It used to be called just Star Wars.
It's just
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was just
Star Wars.
really. It didn't have a subtitle before.
No.
Oh, you
Then-
said it was originally supposed to be just this movie, right?
Yeah, no. They made this without sequels in mind.
How though?
It was supposed to be... George Lucas was like very influenced by Flash Gordon. And he liked the idea of that you could just kind of jump into a miniseries of...
They're talking about Flash.
Yes, exactly what I'm talking about. So he wanted to just be like, oh, you're just jumping into this like episode.
Ah, okay.
That's why it's like episode 4. So
was it
then
one of
you, like,
those
any
things
point.
where like he has several movies? Because like I remember when the video game Xenogears, it's actually like episode 5 of the series, but they only got approved for that one episode, or like that one game in the series. And so and then that's when Xenosaga came along. When after they realized, hey, Xenogears was actually pretty popular, we should probably publish all the other games. And that's when they started doing Xenosaga. Is that kind of what happened with Star Wars? Like, because y'all were saying at first it wasn't expected to be that big of a thing, so maybe he only got approved for one movie, and so he started off with like what he thought would be the good intro movie.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know too much about that.
I mean, he had a good idea, and it was something he had to make. I'm not for sure, but I don't think Star Wars was his first.
No, American
Film.
Graffiti was one of his other movies.
I've never seen
probably
that.
his first movie.
Which came first, Star Wars or Indiana Jones?
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars. Because then Harrison Ford got super big.
This was Harrison Ford right before he was Harrison Ford.
Before he was Grumpy Gramps Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Before
when-
Indiana, basically.
It was when he wasn't big enough to complain about things yet.
Yes.
Before Indiana, before Blade Runner,
Before Crashing the Planes.
before Empire Strikes Back. That was like last
Well,
year.
it was before.
It was before.
Still think it was Sean Connery's fault.
Yeah.
The thing that really stood out to me when I was watching this was how many references I'd heard throughout regular pop culture that I never had attributed to Star Wars.
It's funny.
And it was all like in this. And every time I heard one, I was like,
So you get everything now.
yeah, like there was one I remember at the end of in December, and it was at the end of No Shave November, and somebody had posted something about a beard, and it said, I felt a disturbance in the force as though several beards died. Several beards screamed out in agony, and
And we're suddenly
vanished.
silenced.
Suddenly
Yeah.
silent, yeah.
And at first I was like, oh, that's clever, and then I heard it in the movie, and I was like, what the fuck? It was like,
That's
or
fun.
that one line. Like, I always heard that one line used in like random pop culture references was, "I find your lack of faith disturbing."
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was really like that line. I was like, I have no idea what that's
Extremely
from. That's pretty
memorable.
cool. And then I heard it and I saw it in context, and I was like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome.
It's fucking badass.
Darth Vader's a badass.
Yeah, Kylo
Fuck
Ren's
yeah,
got a
man.
lot to live up to.
Huh?
Kylo Ren, he's got a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
In the new movie.
He's the new guy, right? Is he the Finn? Who's
Finn? Finn is Finn.
Finn is
Kylo Ren is
who's
the guy-
Kylo Ren?
He's the cross guard wielding.
the guy with the mask.
Oh, he's the one with the tri-saber.
Yeah, he's
thing?
not
Yeah.
a Sith. But he's the bad guy.
He's something.
Okay. See, I have no idea what to base any of that off of. Is there
Well,
a
that's
car alarm going?
horribly
There's a
timed.
car going off. Can you hear it?
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was like, am I the only one that can hear that? Nobody addressed it.
It's okay. We'll keep talking.
Yeah, fuck it.
It's really loud.
Okay, so now that you've finally seen it, what would you rate that movie as, and how did you like it?
I think. What's the highest rating?
I don't know. Make one up.
Dick.
Like 5. How many dicks?
I
I don't think that's an
Can we make
appropriate rating system.
Can we
for
make
this.
that a rating system? How many dicks would you give it?
How many dicks would I give it?
How many dicks would you throw at that movie?
Is that a bad thing?
But yeah, are dicks
Like
bad?
that sounds like a bad thing.
No, that's how many times you would throw your dick at the movie.
Oh, throw my
What?
dick
You
like
could
into
only-
the movie?
Can you only throw your dick like once because you only have one dick?
Yeah,
No,
y'all are getting
no,
weird
you-
for me.
Why don't we just go on a more general?
How about we could be totally
than 5 out of 5.
totally geeky about it? How many lightsabers would you give it?
Oh,
5 dicks.
How many lightsabers?
Lightsabers are just metaphors for dicks now.
They're fountain
Everyone
shaped.
knows.
Okay.
How many
They rise up.
lightsabers?
Are you asking me how long my lightsaber got watching this movie?
Hey, that's
Sure.
the Schwartz, okay? Yo, Schwartz is as big as mine.
If it was like out of 5, I would give it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
It was,
Okay, yeah, good.
Especially like because I'm really into like story writing.
Yeah,
There were several things that like I've seen, and I'm not sure whether everybody stole it from Star Wars, or like it's like the whole Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan, where it's like the student comes back to fight the master.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something that repeats in a lot of stories. But like,
Yeah,
and this one, it seems especially,
Star Wars is definitely the basis for a lot of
yeah, because
use
I
of those.
at first when I
tropes.
was watching it, I
Tropes,
was
that's
like,
a good word.
yeah, tropes.
Yeah.
We watched a lot of other movies, and after watching this one, I was thinking, how should I put this? Oh, the main thing that stuck out to me was like, did Star Wars steal this from like everybody else?
Ah.
And then I realized, no, everybody else based this off of Star Wars because Star Wars came before all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was really cool, like seeing all like those defining points, I guess. Like Han leaving and then coming back and saving everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
All those little
Defying
tiny
expectations.
Yeah.
comes back at the last second to help save the day.
things. Yeah, little tiny tropes like that, and they just stick out to me a lot because I'm really into story writing, and I took that one class, video game writing. What are you laughing about?
I'm still laughing about the end where they're walking off with Leia and he had to go mint them. I'm sorry.
Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Well, I had some ridiculous commentary, but we'll bring that later.
Yeah.
I took a video game writing class on my last semester of college.
Yep.
Because we had to pick an elective, and every single thing they taught in that class was in this movie. And it was like perfectly outlined, and I'm pretty sure that whoever wrote that textbook just watched Star Wars and then wrote a book afterwards.
Man, like Star Wars is like written in stone.
Apparently, it was like totally different from like movies back then, and especially in like pace.
Yeah.
That it was something that maybe now as we watch it, we're like the pace isn't as fast as movies nowadays. But back then, that
Oh, that's
was
extremely
insane.
true.
People like it moved too quickly for people, so
Yeah.
it kind of
Really?
set a new standard.
Well, I mean, think about it. They don't really dwell on the darker moments in the movie that movies today spend their entire runtime doing.
Yeah.
You know, like the death of his aunt and uncle.
Yeah,
The planet,
They
Alteron.
it kind of like
So you're
especially
saying back
for,
then this was going by really fast?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he
the
had a
pace of the
story to
movie.
tell. He had point A and point B, and you
Yeah.
know, everything in there was just the catalyst to keep it going.
To me, it made me think a lot of RPG games. Because a lot of like old school RPG games follow the exact same like methodology, I guess, that they use for this one. There's a couple of backstory that's introduced. Then later on, they introduce a main character. Main character is in a village.
Yep.
He yearns for an adventure, but he doesn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Then everybody dies. He has to force to go on this adventure.
he has no choice.
Yeah, it's either revenge, and there's always an evil empire.
Yeah.
And it's literally almost every RPG I've played.
It set the standard. It was a huge movie at the time.
I think that's why like it really resonated with me was from all the RPGs I've played. It literally synced up with the way they tell the stories.
I wonder how many times this movie was re-released in theaters.
How many?
I
What?
feel how many times it was re-released in theaters. Like I feel like it was still being shown in theaters in the 90s.
Was it?
Was it?
80s
They
or
did
90s.
a re-release in the 90s
Yeah.
for the special edition. But that was the first time it had been shown since like the 70s.
Okay, well yeah. It's,
You know what? That explains a lot because I remember in the early '90s it'd been like really big, and that's why when I was younger I originally thought it was released in the '90s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And this is also one of the reasons I never got to Star Wars when I was younger. Was back then my family was super conservative. Like we didn't go to the movies for anything. We literally just had a bunch of Disney movies on
Yeah.
VHS. and like we didn't get like more liberal. They didn't let us start do more liberal things, I guess, till I was like 14. And so like during the 90s, we didn't go to the theaters at all. And so when it was, I guess, if it was re-released in the 90s and everybody went to go see it, me and my siblings weren't allowed to go see it.
I was probably too young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching them, one on TV and then on VHS, because my aunt had tons of VHS movies, and she had those. But for like our generation, it was like the prequels. That was one I remember seeing in theaters.
Yep.
I remember seeing the prequel. I saw the first prequel. It was the one I saw all the way through.
99.
And I thought it was okay as a kid. It didn't really stick out to me too much as a kid. And I think that's why, looking back at it, I never really got back into the rest of them. And then, like, as I kept growing up, everybody was like, "No, the prequels are terrible." And I was like, "Well, that's the only one I've seen."
So he was like, "Yeah, what's the big deal, right?"
Yeah, and I remember I went with a girl to see episode 3 in theaters, and we literally walked out when it was just the Senate talking. And I was like,
God, yeah.
I haven't seen any of the other movies. I have no idea what the fuck is going on right now. I just know it's a really boring political talk, and I'm just walking out.
There's so much trade negotiations in these prequels. It's
yeah, and
dumb.
at first I was like, is that what these movies are about? And then later on, people would make fun of it, saying like, oh, that movie sucked because of this and this. And I was like, why the fuck am I watching the prequels?
Yeah. Yeah, the prequels sucked.
Yeah, but you're gonna watch them anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
We're going to get through every
I think there's a
single
lot
movie.
to like in them, but
Ryan, explain the arrangement that you want us to watch them in.
I recently heard someone else recommend this viewing order in 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and then 6.
Is it like a flashback in the middle of the sequence?
Yeah,
I guess?
you kind of
yeah.
flash back to the beginning, and it was for like the person recommended it because that's how they showed a friend who hadn't seen any of them and didn't know any of the spoilers. They didn't know about
really?
Yeah, they didn't know anything about it, and they watched 4, and they're like they were hooked. They watched 5, and then they went back through the prequels because I can't. It's hard to talk about without spoilers, but I mean. 5 sets up 6 in a way that puts things into really
Well, and then
question
that's the
to
thing,
question.
Like, for me, I can't imagine not having heard any of the spoilers, because
Yeah.
Like,
I think by now you would know, like,
I know.
just through pop culture, everything about it.
Pretty much.
More or less.
that's why, like, I was talking about like Luke and Leia being brother and sister.
Yeah.
And then Ryan looked at me. He's like, "You know that already?" But even like I remember when they were talking about Anakin in episode 1, I was talking to my brother, because my brother somehow did see the Star Wars movies, and I didn't. I don't know how. Maybe he went to a friend's house and saw
yeah, you
them.
probably just watched them anywhere.
Yeah, and we were talking about it, and he was like, yeah, Anakin becomes Darth Vader. And I was like, what?
why did you do that?
I was like, why would you tell me that? He was like, dude, those movies have been out forever.
It's true.
Yeah. And
Yeah, but the answer, the argument to that is, I haven't been out forever, you know?
Oh, man.
Been out for 20-something years. The movies have been out for like 40 now.
Has it? How is it really 40 years?
77.
It came out in
Yeah.
70, yeah, 77.
It's almost 40 years now.
Holy fuck.
So that's pretty crazy.
No, but yeah, a lot of the spoilers have already like been past. Like, I've already learned all the secrets and all kind of that. But it's still cool watching them.
Well, yeah, now you actually get to see the context of everything, how those secrets were told, how like events lined up.
Yeah.
Just because okay, like Darth is his father, then you don't get to see that scene though.
Since we can talk about that, is the notion that he was his father
Yeah.
he had no idea he was going to do that until episode 5 or the second one.
Really?
No, he had no idea.
George Lucas?
Yeah, he just like, oh, that lines up perfectly. You know, when he was coming up with the script ideas and the story with with this co-writer.
Okay, because I thought he originally was gonna do that, especially when he was talking about when Obi-Wan was telling him he's the one who killed your father. I thought he just purposely lied, or at the time, I get George Lucas didn't know that's how he was gonna take it.
that's just he went with that notion.
I thought they set it up. I thought he knew because I thought in whatever language Vader is means father. So essentially, the spoiler was ruined for when it was viewed in other in Sweden or something. One of those countries like that. Vader means father. So I figure since they knew and they knew the twist already, that
It must
it
be,
would
must be a
the name was
coincidence.
planned at least for something. Unless that was just pure accident.
No, I think that's pure coincidence.
Because he just, I don't know, George Lucas
Unless
doesn't know what
Ryan,
he's
your
doing.
sources are all wrong.
No, I don't think so.
He's
It's
doubting
just-
his sources.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
can see the doubt in his eyes.
He didn't. It was a
Your
single
lack
movie.
of faith,
This
Ryan,
was
is disturbing.
This
I don't
is
know. During the kind of beginning, whenever his aunt and uncle are talking to him, they're talking about how Obi-Wan knew his father. And then later, Vader's like, my old master. Which he was talking about Obi-Wan.
Look, I've heard this from people who work on Star Wars. So
But there's so many things in that
It
movie.
seems so, maybe.
that
it's
Well,
just that's
lead
the
to
thing.
it.
It was
Well,
perfect.
maybe
What I-
it wasn't meant to be his father, but they meant to like reference his father later as something else. And then as he was writing it, he was like, "Shit, I can't come up with anything.
Yeah, I mean,
fuck it, I'll make Vader
He,
his
no,
dad."
he was saying, why aren't these two characters the same? They might as well be. And then he looked back at the first one and was like, oh, that works perfectly. That's his father, you know?
Oh. Okay, so what I was going to say was that
Turtle.
I heard George, God damn it. I heard he didn't tell that secret to anyone until Luke, like closer to when they were filming. So
Oh.
maybe people just thought that he didn't know what he was doing.
Well, it depends
Because
because
he didn't want to tell David Prowse, who is the actual guy in the Darth
Yeah.
Vader costume, at all. Like, he didn't know at all until, like, it was time to shoot.
No, yeah. He
So-
kept that secret from them on set.
so like
But I'm
as,
saying
as
he
they're going
fig-
over the script, he's like, "I'm his what?"
No, they had him to say something else that, you know, I killed your father, or something or other, you know,
Yeah.
to make him think that was the line. But in the process of coming up with the story for the second one, that's when he put it together.
Well,
he connected those dots.
That does
himself.
make sense because a lot of times when they start filming things, they won't have the entire story written out. And which a perfect example is Game of Thrones.
And he wanted to capture, like, Mark Hamill's initial
Yeah.
real reaction to it as well. So he didn't know anything at all, you know.
Well, when George Lucas wrote this, did he have like a lot of the backstory written out already? Like because I know a lot of people
When he
they
started
write
with
stuff,
the first one, maybe.
well, because like with Lord of the Rings or like Game of Thrones or any of that, before they start writing the story, they have to make up the world. Period. So they have to write out a whole bunch of backstory. And so I guess like did he make the backstory of just the Empire and then the rebellion and that was it? But he didn't really go into too much of the characters' backstory,
I don't even
I
think
could see
so.
that. I could see that.
where he just did like the broad backstory but not individual backstories.
Yeah, because nothing is really, really explained. And especially it makes sense in that the first movie.
yeah.
You're just shot in there. You got that brief intro. And then that's kind of it. You find out everything as you go. Anything you hear is never explained upon, nor characters really, other than the main ones. But even then, you don't know too much about them.
Before we get away from it, it's real funny that David Prowse, who was the guy in the suit,
Darth Vader suit.
so he had a line to say to Luke in that moment, and it wasn't, you know, I'm your father. And so right before they shot the scene, George took Mark Hamill aside and was like, hey, this is, we're going to have him say this so that it doesn't leak and stuff like that. You know, this is what's on the script, but this is what's actually going on here. And so you need to react to this accordingly. And so he told him something that wasn't that big a deal, and he does his epic, no, you know, that's not true. And David Prowse was like really confused as to why Luke had to react that way to
He was
what
like,
he
Luke,
said.
I ate your food in the refrigerator.
No, that's not true.
That's impossible.
It's just a funny moment.
I ignored your name on a team.
I skipped breakfast for that lunch. Damn it.
Oh, man. But, like, the first... I don't know where I was going with that. Thought I lost it.
There is something I did want to bring up was Star Wars Easter eggs that pop up in other series later on. Mm-hmm. Especially because remember I was telling you the RPGs seemed like they were influenced by the way Star Wars was written.
Yeah.
Biggs and Wedge play repeated roles in the Final Fantasy games. They're repeated characters. They're not main characters, but they're repeated side characters that show up. I think starting in like Final Fantasy 4 and all the way like later on. There's always random Biggs and Wedge. And the writers from Final Fantasy have admitted they're like, yeah, we stole that from Star Wars because it's a huge influence on us.
Nice.
That was like something when I found out like there's a Biggs and Wedge in Star Wars. I was like, holy shit, that's where that came from.
There's a reference... Well, it's not really about this movie, so never mind. I know we're only talking about this movie.
Don't end that there. Come on.
No, I don't want to get into the next one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll go over the
It
next one.
happens
that
in the
time.
next one. I'm sure I'll remember again. So, sorry.
I told you that you wanted to make a comment, but you might forget. Do you remember it?
When was it, that comment?
Was it about the Jawas?
No, it was a question actually. It wasn't a comment. It was a question you had, and I said, "You're gonna forget it later. Just ask me now." You know.
What part of the movie was it at?
I don't remember what point
You don't remember the question then?
He didn't tell me the question.
No.
You said write it down.
He was like, no, I'm not gonna say it now. I'm like, you're gonna forget later.
I think it was the Biggs and Wedge comment.
Okay.
I think that's what I wanted to say.
That might have been near the end of the movie. Yeah.
There's a lot of like really cool. Like I know you guys were telling me that I need to watch the unremastered versions because they introduced a lot of the stuff.
It's
Like
almost impossible.
the CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried looking them up on eBay and it was, or not eBay, Amazon, and all of them were just like the remastered versions.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
almost
'cause
impossible to find that
Or
kind
there
of
was one. It was a complete series of like the unremastered and then the remastered, and then it was like the whole box collection of the last three, and it was for like $200.
Yeah, but like you
Whoa.
can only, I think you can only find the originals at least on VHS.
Yeah, any digital release is going to
He
be.
started making those changes with DVD.
So it's got to be a VHS.
I'm
you,
holding
George
out. I'm holding
Lucas.
out faith in Disney that they like somehow can get a hold of that kind of stuff and release it.
The CGI didn't seem like a big deal to
No,
me.
not at all. But I mean, it'd be nice to
Especially
see.
as a first-time watcher.
Yeah.
It didn't take away too much.
You could just imagine that was the kind of CG they were trying to put in at.
Yeah, like I
77.
could obviously tell which parts were
yeah,
added
it just
in.
doesn't match at all.
Yeah, and it wasn't great CGI either.
No.
Yeah, most of it was okay. Like the end space battle was pretty good,
I've
and
heard-
that's been enhanced a lot.
Oh, has it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that I didn't notice too much of.
But
yeah,
but
I've heard that if you watch the original, you can watch it up until the end, and then you can switch to the remastered version because that part actually looks way better.
yes, it's very
If you
stoic.
wanted to do
It's
that.
very stoic in the original.
But like at the beginning of the movie, whenever they throw in the random like giant alien horses or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
those are like
Jabba was the
extremely
worst
out of
one.
place.
Jabba was the worst.
Jabba,
one.
yeah, showing Jabba like that was.
Because he looked different. Apparently, I'm not for sure, but he looked different in the movie as opposed to what they did with him in his next appearance.
How did he look in the VHS? I guess.
Like a puppet.
I think it was just a big guy and a
Just like a big blobby
Puppet
puppet.
thingy. And he
Yeah.
did. You said that
looks
walk over
slimy.
the tail. They didn't do that in the original.
I don't remember that part in there. It kind of made it like to me when I saw it, I was like, I don't remember that, and it made it seem like Jabba wasn't that badass as he is when you first see him, like
Well, but
in his palace.
I could imagine when they redid like
He's just like,
Jabba.
oh, Han just stepping over a tail, and he's like, ah. He makes this weird face.
But then it doesn't explain the Harrison Ford because they didn't redo Harrison Ford as a younger Harrison Ford walking over him and acting out that part.
No, I mean that scene was in the movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the first time.
Maybe
we saw
just his
Jabba.
reaction was different, I guess, in
Maybe.
the non CGI.
Maybe he passed behind him,
And they just
when they
added that.
CGI'd it, they made it like he stepped on his tail.
Ah, okay.
Because the puppet wouldn't have been able to go. Ah.
Oh, yeah.
He would have crossed behind him, and then that would have been like it.
Maybe he just walked over him, but the Jabba's like, I don't feel anything. Fuck it.
I'm a slug man. I'm slimy. He looks slimy.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know what's crazy? This movie didn't have Yoda.
Nope.
No Yoda.
No.
No like
Nothing wrong
mention
with
of
that.
him, and yeah, no, it's
But he comes
interesting
out
that-
in episode 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is cool though, because he gets that like reveal, which we won't go too much into because that'll be
Well,
next
I've seen
episode.
I've seen in the first half of episode 5, I think. Yes. No. Yes.
Well,
Bits and pieces of it.
Well, let's just go with
not
no.
gonna-
Yeah, we'll just go with no. Not coherently. I did not coherently watch it.
I saw you were surprised when they showed Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. It was like their burned corpses.
I was fucking surprised.
Yeah,
too.
I didn't remember the burned corpses part. I don't know how that passed me up the first because I've seen this one before, but I don't remember seeing that part.
Just the brutal nature of the Empire.
Yeah.
Just burned them down.
They had some flame troopers somewhere that we haven't seen.
Flame troopers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen anything that.
I think
Empire uses
the
that
new movie
actually
has
sets things on
flame
fire.
troopers.
Did they just like after they killed them, they just stood really close to them and just used the blasters over and over again until everything's burned away? Oh, that's really brutal.
There are
think-
definitely flame troopers in the new movie, though. I think.
Are there?
I think.
With like flamethrowers and shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question, and I don't know if you guys want to reveal this yet or not, because I know episode 2 is the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
where supposedly they clone a bunch of people, and that's where the stormtroopers come from.
They clone.
Mm-hmm.
They clone. Do you want me to tell you?
No, don't tell me who. If like who
It's not a big. They clone one guy.
Well, yeah, that's what I figured. Like, it's just a clone, and all the stormtroopers are basically the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the same throughout the rest of the movies then?
With the stormtroopers?
Yeah.
He means in like episode 4 through
Yeah, in
6.
4, 5, and 6, were they
That's-
originally just meant to be clones?
That's always been really obscure.
I'm gonna say no.
Like they all sound like they have the same voice actor, sort of putting a different
Yeah.
inflection on his voice for each stormtrooper that talks.
Yeah, now that you mention, I don't hear a lot of variation.
they sound
in voice.
they all sound very similar to
Yeah.
each other. I don't think that's I definitely don't think that's the case with the new stormtroopers in the new movie. I don't think those are clones.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a big ass like thing that happens, like in those with the clones. So they're not like generations of clones down the line. So yeah, I don't think so either.
I heard it explained to me that like maybe by time they got to episode 4, the genetic like makeup of using the same person over and over again was not working. So you have a mixture of people actually joining the Empire now.
Because they've already taken over a certain part of the
Yeah.
galaxy.
That makes sense.
They're already ruling. People are now coming in to join them, whereas before they needed the army,
Okay, that makes sense.
so they had to make it. But yeah.
Clones look badass. I've always thought.
Yeah.
I think they did.
Wait, the clone? Oh,
Yeah. I like all the designs. I like the stormtrooper design, the clone design, and the new stormtrooper design.
the new stormtrooper design.
I've always thought it was funny when people made fun of like the stormtroopers' aim, but I never realized how bad it was until I like watched this, and I
Yep.
saw like not even that, but even like when they run, because you see like in like my military, whenever they're moving, there's a very particular way. I don't know what it's called. They do that's kind of sidewalk, I guess.
Yeah, they keep their rifle in front of them.
Yeah.
And they're bending their knees ever so slightly.
Yeah.
And they're kind of truffling along.
But the stormtroopers are just like waddling through the hallways, constantly looking like they're about to trip.
They can't see.
Oh, I didn't catch the stormtrooper who hit his head.
I know, I missed it too.
Maybe it was-
stormtrooper that hits his head.
Was it in this movie?
Yeah, it's in this movie.
Okay.
I could totally imagine that though.
No, yeah, it's ever so slight, but
their shot is just they're shooting everything except
Yeah,
like,
it's like when they put in the lasers. There's like all these lasers flying in different directions. That's not even close to like being hit. And the part where Han and Chewie split up from. Wait,
hold on.
okay.
We're not giving enough credit to the guys because what happens in all of our modern action movies with people with like these fucking miniguns that are like trying to mow down everyone, but they're hitting everything else. You see
And the
bullet
good
holes
guy-
everywhere.
The
else.
good guy can
That's
run,
true.
and you just see the line of bullets,
Yeah.
and like hitting the ground behind him or to the side of him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's another Star Wars precedent.
Yeah.
They're like the
A
bad
trope.
guys can never hit anyone.
They don't.
So that the good
they
guys
can't
can get
hit
away.
main characters.
Yeah.
They can't hit the heroes.
Well, because it doesn't make sense when Han and Chewie split up from Luke and Leia, and Han comes across like 10 stormtroopers,
and they all shoot at him,
and they all shoot him,
miss.
and then they miss. But then he like charges them, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And they turn around and run. Like, you guys all have guns. You outnumber 2 people. Shoot him! Why are you running away from him? He's literally screaming at you as he runs.
Maybe because they're like, he's crazy, run away.
He's
Semantics.
screaming at you as he runs. Just
He's
shoot
a
him.
bad guy.
Just shoot him down or something. And then Rhino said, well, maybe they're leading him to the big group.
Yeah.
But they would have heard him and eventually came. They were literally like a hallway away.
I imagine it's
Bob
the
didn't
helmets.
hear him.
Maybe it's the helmets. You can't really like see through that helmet too well.
Luke says that.
Did he say that?
Yeah, when they're getting into the elevator with Chewie, when they have Chewie in cuffs,
Yeah.
he says, "I can't see a thing in this helmet." You know,
Oh, is that what he says? that would make so much sense now. That explains everything.
yeah, it's a weird, like why have those helmets? But I mean, that's
It's like wearing sunglasses all the time.
I guess.
Another thing that like stuck out to me that I always heard people ask about, or like not ask about, but I'd hear it constantly was who shot first,
Yeah.
Han or
Greedo.
Greedo.
Yeah, Greedo. And at first I thought like Greedo was like this main character that would be like throughout the rest of the show. Now he dies at the very beginning.
He's
But, like-
so glorified though.
Yeah.
He left his poor little Greedo
He's got an
wife.
action figure and everything.
Greedo, wife, and child.
Yep.
That whole cantina scene was badass though.
Yeah.
It was like totally like out of a western.
Yeah.
Which
I like-
I think Simpsons makes fun of, that like George Lucas steals everything from like samurai movies and westerns.
Oh, yeah.
But like that cantina scene was totally something out of a western, where like you can basically just kill somebody.
It's just
in a
lawless.
bucket.
Yeah.
That's something we were making fun of that during the movie.
And
Like
everyone else just carries on with their business. Like, I don't want to fuck with
that
that.
happens all the
bus
time
boy
here.
gets tipped extra to carry out the body parts.
Yeah. Sorry, I made a mess.
Here's a cent.
Yeah. Here's a large coin.
Here's 50 cents. Clean up that corpse.
Oh, and not to forget that other guy's lost arm.
Oh yeah.
It's just still on the floor. The bartender's like, just sweep it under the rug.
I think there's only 2 instances where he had that kind of violence put on screen in Star Wars. One with the severed arm, before they figured out that it would cauterize,
Yeah.
And that's what I was gonna ask. I was like, it's with a laser. Shouldn't it just be like?
They didn't really. I don't think they figured that out till later on. There's blood there, and then there's one other instance that.
Which other instance? Not in this one.
No, not in this one.
Okay, well, we won't talk about it.
Okay. God damn it.
Not a spoiler, but I mean, you don't want to know.
Kramer, tell us more, like, parts you loved.
I was gonna say the part where he shot Greedo. The way he's just leaning back and he pulls the gun out like all secretive, like
Yeah,
that was
under the-
badass.
Did he shoot through the table? 'Cause
I
that'd
think he
have been
shot through the
awesome.
table.
He had to have.
Yeah.
Had to.
He'd have to. He
Had-
had to.
He
He
did.
had to. He did. He just did. Oh fuck.
Yeah. Did you like Mr. Pigface? My friend doesn't like
My
you.
friend doesn't like you.
I don't like you.
either.
You'll be dead.
I was like, what the fuck is this guy's problem?
I'll try to be careful. You'll be dead.
He saw someone else who was
I'm
pretty.
a wanted man. Like, good for you, man.
Oh man, I think most of the parts that I liked, or no, fuck, what was it? When Darth Vader was, as soon as like they pull in the Millennium Falcon into that ship,
Yeah.
and Darth Vader is like, I feel a presence. I haven't felt this presence since, and then he just walks away.
He's talking to some guy, and yeah.
He just cuts like
He almost gets.
mid-conversations,
I think
like-
he almost gets batshit scared right there. You know.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well,
Darth Vader's very subtle.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, if he felt that presence, he had to know that it was on the ship. Like,
it was a panic.
like
Kind
in
of
the-
like, oh shit, like, it shouldn't be who I think it should be. And maybe that's the only other person that could potentially beat him.
no, but what I was wondering is why did he walk away? If he must have known it was on the Millennium Falcon,
Yeah.
so he would have like gotten ready, like just he would, like just as soon as he realized who it was, gotten his lightsaber ready. But instead, it seems like he walks away somewhere. He's like, hold on, I haven't stocked up enough potions and shit for this boss fight.
Yeah, I mean that's. I think that's what it is.
You think he was like, I gotta go prep for this? So he
Yeah.
walks off screen, does some like stretches.
Maybe. I mean,
They're
he
like-
didn't know what to expect.
He's like, shit, my lightsaber's still charging back into my room.
Oh shit, left it on my USB.
Yeah. He comes back and he's like, shit, it's only 30%. I'll wait here for 5 minutes.
I'll let them get almost away.
But that part was really cool when he was just like, I feel a presence
But
that
he
I haven't
also
felt
wanted.
since.
He wanted to face him alone.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he left, because he went after that. He's telling Tarkin, he's like, "There's Obi-Wan is here. Like, I can feel him."
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
went
he
to talk
probably
that
left
guy.
to tell him, like, "Look, there's gonna be shit's gonna go down, but I have to do it by myself."
Yeah.
And that Tarkin's like, "Whatever. She's dead." And he's like, "No, he's here." And then he leaves. So when he's essentially goes back to where he's trying to sense where Obi-Wan is in the ship.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, okay, he's coming this way, that's where he was already ready with the lightsaber. Because that's cool. When he turns the corner and he's just waiting there already.
Yeah.
Man.
Chills.
You get a little chills.
Chills,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
The another thing that I noticed was a link to a lot of like kung fu movies is the way they explain the force. It's basically like chi.
Chi.
Yeah, like the whole kung fu.
A force that flows
like,
through
You
you,
must
that-
feel the force.
Yeah.
But it's weirder because like in kung fu movies they don't really have a name for it. They're just like you must feel the punch or something like that. But this one he's like, no, it's the force. Just feel it.
You project your energy, your
Yeah.
emotions. So
Yeah,
you
that
can
was the
feel
one part that
things.
got me. He was like,
Emotion is a
feel
big
it
thing,
with
yeah.
your
Yeah.
what is it like?
Your feeling. Stretch out your feelings.
Stretch out your feelings. And I looked at him like, what?
Luke got it. That's
Yeah,
important. That's
look,
what's
That's
important.
what's important. I would have looked at him and went like, what?
Emotion is a big thing in like the Star Wars universe. It's between good and the dark
It's
side
what,
and the
yeah, it's
light
what
side.
tips a person between
yeah.
both.
Is that what they're making fun of in fuck, what's that called? The Teen Titan version of Adventure Time. What's it called?
What?
From our first loot crate. The
Oh.
Bravest Warriors.
Bravest Warriors?
Yeah, because they have the emotion lord. I kind of feel like the Motion Lords and Bravest Warriors are basically like Jedis.
I don't know. I think that's a stretch.
You think that's a stretch?
Yeah, I don't think so.
They're too different.
I can't keep up with
It's
this
not like
conversation.
that.
Ah.
The Motion
So-
Lords are kind of more like Jar Jar Binks.
What? With like the powers?
No, just like the stupidity.
But they have powers that aren't even like in Star Wars.
It's not like force based.
No.
No,
Okay.
it's just ridiculous things like teleporting into dumb dimensions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's really nothing Jedi related.
So what powers does like the force entail? Like I get like you can sense things,
You have force push.
you can feel things, you can force push.
Yeah. Or force pull.
The choke.
Force choke.
That one's really cool.
Lightning.
That's
For like those real sick
I've heard of
motherfuckers.
those.
Yeah.
I've heard, but like, is
Sith
it the
lightning.
regular Jedi's can't use the lightning?
I've only
it's-
ever seen a
it's-
Sith.
It's a corrupt power.
It's
you know,
like having a tap into the life stream. You can feel energy, you can control energy, you can move energy, you can manipulate it in any way you want.
Okay.
That's kind of what it is.
I think
More
it channels like through your body.
so. Yeah.
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 Like chi, I guess.
Yeah.
But like the whole electricity thing, is that like you were saying that that's something that Sith can use because it's a dark power?
Because there's two things to the force: the light side and the dark side.
Yeah. So is there a light side thing that Sith users can't use, like healing stuff maybe?
They don't really do healing. They have like force running where you can like run real fast.
Well, like 'cause I
Force
saw
jumps
whenever
and, like-
Obi-Wan first finds and Luke, that he's basically on the ground, and then Obi-Wan puts his hand over his head. I was like, what's he doing?
Well, they kind of explain it as like the dark side has its strengths and the light side has its strengths. Like the light side doesn't have that lightning bolt, but the dark side's not as strong as the light side in everything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why Luke can always beat all of the dark side, or whatever Jedi is facing them can beat the dark side because of their powers are stronger. It's just they don't have that one thing.
Gotcha.
They just have to figure out how to make their powers that
It's
strong.
essentially how like hope and being a good person will always help you to overpower someone who's not like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically it.
Gotcha.
Evil always has a cheap edge, but you can get past it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good way of putting it. A cheap edge. Like, yeah, you can get lightning and stuff, but the good person will always win.
Yeah, it's kind of like taking like the cheap route to get more power, but kind of like fuck, I don't want to compare it to this. I was gonna say like how like in the last Dragon Ball Z movie, like Frieza, granted that wasn't like he didn't find his power through some evil means, but because he didn't work for it as hard, he didn't have like his control of the final form. Like I guess is it because the dark side users they tap into the dark side to get more power, but they haven't spent as much time like doing hard work, I guess, to control it.
No.
It's more
It's not
so
like that?
it's more so focus based, I guess, because the
Yeah.
dark side's very clouded and judgmental. Where
Oh.
And full of like anger.
And once again,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
emotion.
Yeah.
Emotion is at the core of.
That makes sense because
Force.
Because they can train just as hard, but
yeah, what's that that phrase?
the
Let the
imbalance.
anger flow through you.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the imbalance of having those emotions.
Okay, yeah, because I can see how the anger would make it to where you're less focused, and if that's where you're getting your power from, then it's more chaotic. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
yeah.
That's why the light side's more like channel your energy, like a monk, for example.
Yeah.
It's like channel your energy, control it, be.
They're both just very
aware
different.
of what's going on.
Forces of
Yeah,
like nature, you know.
gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, what other questions do I have?
that force choke is cool.
Yeah,
The first one, man, it's like it's perfect.
that line.
I love that he just like, if Tarkin wouldn't have stopped him, he would have just killed him. That would have been that.
Yeah.
He would have just choked him until he died. Because even after he was like, stop it, he kind of was like, all right,
I thought
as you wish.
that also like was a weird thing that I noticed was how they kind of portray the Force as an ancient religion.
Yeah.
For like people like later on, I guess they're like all the Jedi's have died out. Most people don't even believe in the Force. But like,
And it's only been like what 10, 20
It's been
years.
20
Yeah.
years.
Something like that.
Tops.
but at the same time, it's even though Darth Vader's on the dark side and he's like with the bad guys and everything,
Yeah.
he's like, don't you dare insult the Force. It's my way of life.
See, that's where they messed
Oh,
up
yeah,
in
yeah.
the prequels because in this, they make it seem like it's been already a long, long time. And they've already established, they mentioned that Darth helped kill the last remaining like Jedi. So that it's really only like him left, supposedly.
Yeah.
But in the prequels, they don't take place that far away, and there was like thousands upon thousands of like Jedi.
But
So-
that's what the whole Clone Wars thing was.
Yeah, but it
Was
like,
the killing off of the Jedis.
but the way that they make it seem was like it's
That Darth
that
Vader
like something that ancient couldn't be in like that close. Like,
I don't know
as-
it couldn't be
I don't-
wiped out of
well,
everybody's
I don't know
memories
if
by
they
then.
like would it be
suppose that it was ancient.
Yeah, like memories like that. Like would it be ancient if like 15 years ago there was something that was really popular for a really long period of time? We would have still been alive.
Well,
We
think
wouldn't
of it-
refer to it as ancient. We'd be like it was old.
I don't know if they really suppose it as an ancient thing.
Well, they said ancient in there,
Well,
like a lot of times.
maybe it was really long standing, and then that one event happened.
So that's what I'm thinking. That like,
It was ancient, and then like
okay. So I see. Like you're referring to like it's just been around so long that it's ancient,
Yeah.
and not in the sense of like the time span between it not being there is
Yeah,
ancient.
because
Yeah,
it's
it's
always
just-
been there.
There is,
Oh, okay,
there is
yeah,
like
yeah.
whenever like Alexander the Great or any conqueror in history went throughout anything and they started killing off people. The main thing they did was burn texts.
Yeah.
So that like the younger generation had no idea about anything back then because they not only like kill off people, but they make it
they destroy their history.
so they make it so that you can't teach the new generation. And if it has been like 20 years, like if, for instance, let's say the South had won in the Civil War, and they destroyed all historical texts about the Civil War ever happening, we would not know about it. We'd be like, oh, I never knew there was a Civil War because
Yeah.
they never taught it to me.
It would
That's
just be a
true.
story that
Yeah.
somebody, maybe
I think
through
something
the
else that
cracks.
supports it. Sorry, is that their little rallying call is "May the Force be with you" when they're like preparing for their
Yeah.
attack on the Death
Yeah.
Star.
But at that point, it doesn't sound like like normally when I heard the Jedi say it, I guess, and when I saw it in pop culture, it seemed like a monk's mantra.
Almost like
But-
a literal sense of like,
Yeah, but now
"May
it
the
just seems
Force
like a like that little cross thing that like the Catholics do.
cross thing."
I don't know what it's called.
The sign of the cross.
Trinity.
Yeah, the Trinity.
Yes.
It's not so much like this is a force we're very well aware of. It's just like, hey, this is the thing. My
Yeah,
religion
yeah,
does.
it's a rally call. It's sort of a
Yeah, but it's not so much a
Maybe
like.
it's
like a hoorah.
It's like a
Yeah.
carryover from when the Jedi like used to help them and be a part of them.
I don't know
Like
because
of the
it's
rebels?
a little.
maybe
it's a little.
just they widely believe in the Force because it's a religion. So maybe it's just though they can't use the Force, they still, recognize it's there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But,
Obviously, they
but to
see
them,
it
it's
being-
more of a broad, general thing as opposed to like
Belief
I've
in it,
actually
yeah.
felt the force. They're like, well, this is what we believe in, so let's say the
All those guys seem old enough that they're probably just like, we know it exists. We can't do it. People
Yeah.
who used to help us during the Clone Wars and before used it, so we know it exists.
Yeah.
So it just carries over to them as like,
Plus, everybody knows who Darth Vader is and what
Yeah.
he's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
So.
yeah.
But Han Solo is clearly he can't be that old because he's at the point where he's like, I don't believe in the Force. I
Yeah.
don't like
See,
Jedi's.
he-
What the fuck are Jedi's?
He would be that next generation that came up after all the other Jedis were
Yeah.
murdered.
Yeah, and he's never heard of like all
Yeah.
this other stuff.
So we're getting Rogue One. It's an anthology movie that takes place before A New Hope, and I'm thinking it's probably going to end right up to where Vader is going after Princess Leia. or
So it's
ship.
like episode 3.5.
3.9 or something. It's going to have a group that steals the Death Star plans and stuff like that.
It's gonna be a heist movie.
I think
Is
we're
It's gonna be
gonna
a heist movie.
Is that out yet, huh?
Huh?
Is that out yet?
No.
No,
That's-
it'll be out
That's
af-
after episode 7. That's next year.
Next year.
They're doing 5 consecutive movies a year.
Well, wait, hold on.
Yes.
So is it? So it's not like episode 8.
No, it's an anthology movie.
So it's 7,
And
Rogue
Rogue
One,
One,
8, and then another anthology movie.
Han
Holy
Solo.
fuck.
The Han Solo movie is what they've kind of been saying, and then
No, it's
nine-
it's confirmed.
It is confirmed.
Yeah, that's what we're getting.
Ooh.
Oh,
Well,
see,
alright
I
then.
only thought.
And then 9, and then 10. They're doing the
No,
whole
no,
trilogy?
they haven't said 10. It's a trilogy.
Well, because remember I tagged you in that Facebook comment because I saw something that said episode 9, and I was like, episode 9, what the fuck is this? Because I obviously have no idea what the fuck is going on with Star Wars.
Right.
And then you were like, yeah, they're doing a whole new 3 movies, and I thought it was just one more movie. Like they were like, hey, let's just continue it like one more. But now you're telling me there's 5 fucking more movies?
Each year, starting in December.
You're gonna have an alternate, almost timeline with the current timeline type thing.
And there's reason to, like, think these are all going to be great.
Are you
Because
saying episode 7's coming out this year?
December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was that close.
Get hyped.
A new hype.
A new hype.
That's what we were watching the Instagram teaser that they put up,
Oh, yeah?
which was super cool.
Did you see that?
16 seconds of awesomeness.
16 seconds
You will.
is not as
Wait, no, I
long
did see
as
it.
I
Yeah,
thought
I
it
did
was.
You have
With
to watch
Finn
it on
at
the
the
loop.
end.
Yeah. But they kind of gave that
You
away
have to
in the
watch it
poster.
24 times and then
have to watch
it'll
it 24
really
times.
set in.
Because you guys started playing it for me, and then it got to a point I was like, wait, that's it?
Yeah, when we watched it on Instagram, it was just looped.
It would
So
be
you just sit there for like 10 minutes like, whoa, whoa,
You think they did that on purpose?
whoa.
They're like, let's not release it on YouTube. Let's put it on Instagram so it loops and people just sit there staring at it.
Man, that's what I did.
It'd be the perfect thing if they released it right now.
Yeah.
The trailer.
Have you guys watched all the because I know there's a lot of side stuff for Star Wars. Because I remember I was talking to this one kid and he was like,
Side stuff?
yeah,
He
because
means
I asked
like
him, I was like, do you
the-
like Star Wars? He was like, well, I didn't watch I don't like any of the main movies, but I watch all of like the separate storylines and I read the books and
There's tons of books,
Okay.
but they're not canon anymore. So.
Besides the new animated shows that they've done, the Clone Wars
And Rebels.
and Rebels,
Okay.
besides the current comic books, which started like end of last year, beginning of this year,
When we got our Star Wars comic in Loot Crate,
yeah.
that's one of
starting
them.
there, the first one.
That's
Oh, that was the first.
besides those things, everything is non-canon now.
Really?
I mean, and none of it really like Star Wars for ever since before Disney bought Lucasfilm, it's been called the expanded universe, which meant that an artist took it, writer,
So it's
comic book
fan
writer.
fiction.
It was sort of
Yeah.
fan fiction. You know, they kind of like built it off of what other people were doing.
So that Clone Wars thing that was on Cartoon Network for a while is no longer.
No, that's canon.
No, that was
Besides,
that was
yeah,
good.
that one's canon. The new show,
Rebels.
Rebels, and the current comic books. They're all
Okay.
Those are canon.
Yeah.
How big was like all the side stories? Like how far did that
Huge.
go?
Enough that I couldn't tackle any of it because it was too broad.
It's too much, yeah.
It was
and
so
you're talking
broad.
about time periods, running from thousands of years before
Holy
to
shit.
even like longer.
People have done their own episode 7s, you know, continuing after.
Oh yeah,
Return
people
of the
before
Jedi.
people because George Lucas's thing was don't mess with stories in the trilogy. You can do before, and I think he said you can do after.
Well, they did. So.
Yeah, it was something like that. Like just don't mess with like his main stuff, but you could add anything like out there.
Okay.
George at one point almost had the idea to do 9 movies,
He
either
wrote,
9 or 12. I'm not. I
He
forget.
he wrote the original treatment plan scripts for
Yes, for episode 7.
for episode 7, and his idea was to sell it and let someone else take over it. And then after Disney bought it, they were like, "We don't want it."
They said thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, I think they kind of
Wait.
kept his general, very very loose idea.
So he didn't
but
write 7?
No,
no,
They didn't
he's
have
done.
him-
He's done with it.
no.
Like,
7 is written by the guy who wrote The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Got everybody excited because that's everyone's favorable one. Lawrence Kasdan. I think that's his name.
Okay, I didn't know anybody else but George Lucas wrote Star Wars.
He co-wrote he wrote and directed the first one.
Okay.
He didn't direct anymore.
He co-wrote the next 2, but he didn't direct the next
He
2.
co-wrote the next 2?
Yeah, I mean he came up with the story, but he did
Okay.
the scripts. He co-wrote the scripts with the next 2 movies, and he did not direct them.
but he did the prequels, right?
The prequels were all him.
Which is why they just.
Okay.
He didn't even direct the last 2, so.
So what you're saying is with the rest of the Star Wars movies, that he was writing them, but there was somebody else there going, okay, let me stabilize your ideas.
A little bit, yeah, maybe.
Kind of.
And then in the
Maybe.
prequels, he just ran amok, and everybody's like, what the fuck?
Everyone was pretty much everyone was. He was like, "I'm gonna do this," and everyone was like, "That's a great idea," and yeah, and they just let him do whatever he wanted.
They probably have his general inklings of an idea for episode 7, but J.J. Abrams co-wrote the movie with Lawrence Kasdan, a
that's
writer of
cool.
Star Wars, a veteran.
Okay.
So
Didn't
they got
J.J. Abrams also do Star Trek? Isn't that like sacrilege for him to do both?
It's
Would you-
probably-
isn't it
maybe
what?
he did Star
It's like
Trek.
sacrilege.
Maybe he did Star Trek in the hopes he could get Star Wars.
He didn't want it apparently. His
Star
first
Wars?
answer was no.
Yeah,
For Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Star Wars. I read that too.
Why?
Yeah.
Oh, because he said he didn't want to fuck it up?
It's too big.
He said he wanted to do independent films.
That's what Kevin Smith always said about like superhero movies.
It's too
He
big
was
for
like,
him.
Nope.
I think
It's
Josh
way-
Whedon
like,
has
they
that
should-
same
he was-
response now.
Kevin Smith has always said they shouldn't let me
Yeah,
write a
he's like,
superhero
that's way
movie.
beyond my capabilities. Like I'm nowhere near good enough to do that ever.
He walked away from Superman, right? When they
Yeah.
were doing it with like was it Tim Burton?
I don't think he walked away. I don't think his script was approved. I gotta watch the documentary. I'm not sure.
I thought he said he was like he said he didn't want to. No, I think you're right. His script wasn't approved.
No, they
or
did
something.
approve his script, but they still wanted him to work on it.
Yeah,
But he was. I think when they told him like that what they wanted, he was like, I'm not.
but he had a
touching this."
fucked up script just because of the producer and what he wanted.
With the polar
Spiders.
bears.
He wanted to fight a giant spider at the end without a cape, without the tights.
Well, then the producer was that dude who used to be Barbara Streisand's hairdresser.
Yeah.
And apparently this dude is just like crazy. And somehow he's now a big producer and he's just insane.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why like with the Star Wars movies, Disney? Well, because Disney's doing a lot of the Marvel stuff too now, right?
Yeah, they
Disney owns Marvel.
They do, right? Mm-hmm. But like,
Disney
do you
owns the world right now.
Yeah.
Well, they just need Warner Brothers.
But do you remember we had that
Disney and
that conversation where they're like, how there's the tug and pull between what the producers want, what the writer wants, and then what the source material wants. And then do you
and then
think?
the director's in there too.
Okay, yeah, with his
Director gets his movie.
the direct. Oh yeah, it
Most
was the
of the
director,
time.
the studio, and then the source material. Those are like the three ones pulling at like what direction the story goes in. But do you think with Star Wars, that's why they pulled a lot of Star Wars fans to work on it? Because they're like, we don't want to deviate from the source material too much, or I guess there is no original source material.
Well, it's just they made the mistake of not fact checking the prequels beforehand. That would be their only like when they made the prequels. The source material was everything should line up with what was said in the three,
Yeah.
and it really like there was a lot of like mistakes.
Okay.
So that would be the only thing I could think of like in that same instance.
And they're like, we need a lot of people who like are Star Wars fans, so that when we make this, we know what they want.
Well, and then for 7, I think one of the reasons they just like stopped doing the expanded universe was that so they didn't have any kind of reference material.
They didn't have to restrict themselves
That's
to
a
that.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Because
absolute restriction.
There's way too much going on that would have been done beforehand that they would have had to refer to and kind of keep it going.
Yeah.
So they just scratched all of that and basically made it Star Wars Legends series. So all of those are just stories, legends that never happened, could have happened. They'll never know.
Yeah.
So by taking away that, they could write something, and then that'll just be new source material for anything else.
I think it's kind of weird, but also really cool that Star Wars started off as something that George Lucas wrote, but it got so big that it's no longer his story anymore. It's become like its own thing,
Yeah.
especially since like all the new ones are being written like without him. It's no longer his story. It's like its own entity
Yeah.
that requires other people's input. Like it's too big for its original
It's almost
writer.
required for that
Yeah.
to happen. You know.
It's what?
I think it's almost required for that to happen.
It's like when you have a band that was really huge in the 80s and now they're touring with like one of the original members,
Yeah.
but they're still known as that band. Just everybody in the band's different.
Guns N' Roses.
That's true.
Axl Roses.
Yeah, Axl Roses. Yeah.
But I still think 7 has the possibility to be just as great as.
I think it's
These
gonna be
original
amazing.
movies.
Disney does a fantastic job. I loved like all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Those are amazing.
Pirates?
The
Who
movie
made
looks
those?
so good.
Disney made those.
Oh well, Disney. Okay, great. Yeah.
And if they're not restricted by like all the random fan art source material, I guess, and there's no like previous like source material besides just referencing the older movies. What I think they've done with Marvel was awesome, from what I've seen. I know maybe some people don't like it because like some characters aren't the same, but I like it.
They nerf a lot of things in the Marvel movies.
They what on a lot of things?
Nerf it.
They
Like,
take a lot of liberty.
Okay.
Yeah, they tone it down a lot because the DC movies are a lot more violent, a lot more like innocent
Darker.
people getting murdered.
And not even that. I mean, the Marvel movies, they need to like, they have their point A to point Z, you know?
Yeah.
And they just got to get there. And that's sort of just.
But with like the Star Wars ones,
With Star Wars, they could just create a movie.
they can go
and then
wherever they want.
And then
with
they
it,
can create
basically.
another movie after that. and
Yeah,
then-
as long as they keep
Yeah.
everything in line with the previous
Yeah.
movies, they can go as far as they want with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's also already a lot of groundwork laid for the Star Wars movies, whereas the Marvel movies they had to build an entire universe. because most people have never read the comics.
That's
They
true.
don't know any of these stories. They just know who the figures are.
That's true. Yeah.
Star Wars, everybody knows that story. If they don't, there's 6 movies.
Yeah.
Go watch them.
And if they don't, we're making podcasts like this.
Exactly.
Just for you.
Although you should probably still watch the movies.
Yeah.
This isn't going to make any sense if
It's
you
a
haven't.
bit essential.
Unless we do a commentary. Maybe.
We wouldn't have been able to do that. It was so loud. Like the.
Oh yeah.
Well, the thing is, whenever I've listened to commentaries, the movie's off. You just get subtitles.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
not.
that makes a lot of sense.
Or
That's not
maybe
good for
you
your
just,
first watch.
or maybe
That
you
makes
just
too much sense.
maybe you have the sound on a little bit so you can hear music. I mean,
I think
Because the
though, if you
music
have-
was so good.
I think if you have the soundtrack going through though, it's legal issues. Like you can't have the sound in the background of it.
Yeah. I think we can have clips. We can have.
Maybe, but we definitely can't have a whole movie playing in the background.
If anyone listening is a lawyer, please contact us. we need to know what we can or cannot do.
It
What
sounds
happened,
too
Kramer? You were
chaotic
supposed to be a
anyway.
lawyer.
Trying to listen,
You were supposed to be the lawyer. What happened?
You want to pay for my law school?
No.
but it's too chaotic.
it'd be difficult.
If you could hear audio from us and the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
There'd
no,
always be something.
subtitles are the way to go. You know. So.
Yeah.
I'd say you'd have to watch it first before you did a commentary track and then do it again.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Not to a new movie. That we can't do it for this one because you're watching these brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. What'd you think of that Darth Vader Obi-Wan Kenobi fight?
Okay, I'm really confused about the end of that. And if you want to tell me you're not allowed to answer this until I watch the other movies, that's fine. The fuck happened at
To
the
Obi-Wan?
end where he swipes at him and because you see
disappears.
Obi-Wan is doing something like he's focusing and then he just disappears.
Obi-Wan tells him, like, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, and that's like I was like, what's he gonna do?
And that's why whenever he was like, he was about to block it, and then he just put his lightsaber down and let it hit him. Because he knew.
But he just disappears. He doesn't get like sliced. He just like
Okay, so
does he come? You don't have to tell me if he comes back.
Vader makes a comment that says he's not here, or his plan isn't to escape, right? And I'm trying to maneuver here. Obi-Wan found Luke. You know that about the father thing.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan found Luke first, right?
yeah.
And he kind of gives him a smirk whenever he sees Luke out there, and he's like, "Okay, I found him, and my job was done after that, because he's the hope to end all this, to bring
He's the new hype.
good to
A new hope, yeah.
And so he allows him to strike him down.
It's essentially so that he's going to be stronger than he was, like, physically, in the sense that now he's can guide Luke also.
Yeah, I was like, did he?
Oh,
but the
yeah.
fact that he disappeared, I was like, it doesn't look like he was struck down. It looks like he allowed himself to die and become one with the Force.
Exactly.
Yep, Force Ghost.
Force Ghost.
You may or may not see something like that again.
Actually, I've seen part of episode 6, and I see I like the. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. But yeah, he's one with the Force now, and now he can guide Luke and help him, basically. It's
Okay.
going to be whenever Luke needs some kind of help, he can ask him.
Since we're telling you that, I want to bring up a really interesting subtlety to the way Luke develops as a Force user is that at the end of the movie, he's hearing him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Minor spoiler alert. If in the next film, he's going to start seeing him ever so
No,
slightly.
I think I've seen stuff like that.
Yeah, and that indicates that he's becoming more Force sensitive, and
He becomes his Cortana.
No, well,
Yeah.
he is blue.
Luke's getting more Force sensitive, so whereas now he could just only hear him, now he can actually see
Yes.
him there.
He
So
starts
Essentially
out,
being
sees
like,
the embodiment of him.
It becomes more.
you can see more and more of him.
It manifests more.
Yes.
That's just as he becomes stronger. It's a very cool, subtle way.
And I
to
mean,
show-
and just in this, when he says, like, I'll be stronger than I ever was, he helped Luke destroy the whole Death Star without his guided weaponry.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, just doing that easily made up for Vader killing him, getting that quick kill against him, thinking
Yeah.
that's it. Like the ramifications later was that because of that, he was able to help Luke,
Gotcha.
hit his target.
One thing I wanted to bring up Do they just not give a shit about the droids? They're treated so shittily like throughout the movie. I thought there was like a close connection.
They're robots.
Yeah, I get that, but I'd always thought
They're
that
second class citizens.
there's literally like the slave market at the beginning where they're selling the droids. But I'm like, well, they're robots. They're not
Yeah.
people.
They're robots with amazing personality.
Yeah,
That was
Whiny-
one of the most
But it
amazing
was
things.
really weird watching it because I'm like, oh, this looks like a slave trade. And
But,
then
like-
whenever R2D2 comes off and he's like all beat up and
Yeah.
C3PO is like, please take care of him. They're like, yeah, fuck it, I don't care.
He'll
Like,
be
"It'll be
okay.
fine, fuck him."
They know he gets a tune-up. That's it. He'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Like a busted car.
Yeah.
Their lives don't matter.
I was always extremely impressed with the scene where they arrive on Tatooine, and C-3PO and R2 part ways.
Yeah.
Like we get an entire scene with
It's just the personality of
Yeah.
the droids.
like we don't even R2 doesn't speak. C-3PO speaks for him by
Yeah, but
repeating
you
after
already
him.
get
But he
like
has
the sense
character
of
already.
R2D2's personality through that.
He's feisty.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's amazing that he was able to pull that off.
Yeah. That's really cool.
I liked it.
That's probably why he's such a favorite.
What did you think of all the
R2D2?
characters? I mean,
Huh?
what did you think of all the characters? Like we haven't
I
talked
love
about Leia.
R2D2. C3PO is a little bitch. Luke, I don't know how I feel about Luke. Part of me was like, he just seems, not that I dislike him, he's not that cool yet. I feel like his character is very much still developing.
Well, I think he's been compared to as in that time, he's sort of a geek.
Okay,
know?
yeah, like he's not a main character. He is the main character, but he's not like a hero yet.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't happen until like the very end of the movie, where he becomes like, everyone's like, "Hey, Luke." At first, everyone's like, "Fucking Luke,"
Yeah.
and but like he doesn't become the hero until like literally the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And at first, you're watching it and you're like, "Come on, Luke, stop fucking up."
You get those inklings though, like when he swings across the chasm or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's got
And,
potential.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then
his
there's-
music starts to come to fruition. His
What's his
theme.
first ever thing? Like his
His
first
music.
adventure? That's pretty awesome.
yeah.
So he made amazing progress.
Luke has
That's
always
true.
been the pinnacle of the hero's journey, I think.
Yeah, because he starts off as not a hero at all. It's just the because I know
Every man.
He's just
sort
an
of.
angry kid that wants to get out.
And it doesn't start off with like the whole, because a lot of stories do the whole chosen one thing, where I know Luke is technically it's a chosen one kind of thing, and you guys are smiling like you want to give something away.
No,
but
I'm
don't.
thinking of that Kung Pao. Have y'all seen that?
With
Yeah,
the
Kung
tongue?
Pao.
Huh?
And
With the tongue.
Yeah, I think that with what was the tongue thing?
He had that like tongue that talked.
Oh yeah.
That's
No,
how
I
they
was
knew
thinking
he
of
was
the
the chosen one?
chicken that was the chosen one, and he's running, and it's a funny movie.
yeah. But they don't point him out as, oh, he's the chosen one at first. They're just like, no, this is a guy. He's kind of just caught up in everything. And so that was what was weird to me. I guess at first was I wasn't like, oh, this is the hero of the movie. I was like, he's not very much a hero yet. He's just still kind of forming.
I think Han Solo was the breakout character.
Yeah,
As far
Han-
as you saw him and he was the cool guy.
He's the gun
And he
swinging.
just-
Or no, guns swinging.
Gunslinging,
Gunslinging.
slinging.
Gunslinging.
He was the cool dude. Where Luke was still kind of fumbling here and there.
Yeah.
Han was just his own thing.
Yeah,
He was
he's,
super cool. Everyone likes him.
His comments are the best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
His
he's the,
attitude.
He's the witty, charismatic hero that comes out,
Yeah.
and and he has the kind of like the relationship development that starts off that you see in a lot of movies with like the heroine, where like the heroine is like, oh, you're such an asshole at first,
Yeah.
and then like they eventually fall in love. You feel that a lot more than you do with like Leia and Luke, which thank God, because that should never happen. And that's what you looked at me weird when I was like, I thought I mentioned, I was like, isn't it so ironic that Han calls her sister the whole time?
Sarcastically.
Yeah.
Listen, sister.
And I was like, that seems
That's a good
very
impression.
ironic to like when they find out that Luke is Leia's brother. And you looked at me like, you know that?
No, I looked at you like I've never thought about it that way because he called her
Oh.
sister. You know.
Well, see, that's cool because it's first time viewing. You could think.
And you know what's
Yeah.
Stuff we're
interesting?
not thinking of.
If George didn't quite piece together that he was going to make Vader Luke's father,
Yeah.
that means he didn't know Leia was Luke's sister.
Okay, which is weird because as I'm watching it, I'm like, no, that's totally foreshadowing that Luke and Leia are like brother and sister by
Oh well,
unless I guess
Coincidence
Han
again.
Solo grew
Yeah.
up in an atmosphere where like a gospel atmosphere where he's like, "Come on, sister." I don't know.
No, I think it was more
It's just that-
condescending than that.
Yeah,
More condescending than that.
it's that cool personality.
He had many.
It's like calling
who calls
worshipfulness
other people's
and-
sister. Like I've never heard that.
Look here, sister.
Well, we didn't live in '77, so
Western.
The Western
people?
talk. Dude,
Western
we have to
talk?
watch a bunch of like Western movies and see if they call them. Look here, sister.
Maybe.
They
I
do.
feel like it's a thing.
They do.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
My grandpa used to watch a ton of Western movies. He'd watch so much Clint Eastwood bullshit,
That explains a lot then.
really loud. So no matter where you were in the house, no matter what you were watching, listening to, you heard Western movies.
Nice.
Well, there you
Okay,
go,
that
too.
explains that then. Because at first I thought it was totally like a kind of like foreshadowing, like hint, hint kind of thing. But I guess not.
No, it's just
Nope.
like a space cowboy.
In that case, it's just
Yeah.
very, very ironic.
it's funny that Leia's like the
Coincidence.
strongest character of the three.
What?
It's funny that Leia's like the strongest character of the three.
Like emotionally.
Yeah, and
Like character isn't like her character is more fully developed.
no, like she sort of takes charge and is really almost the leader of the pack.
While the other guys are kind of just like fumbling around. They don't know
Yeah,
what the fuck
yeah,
they're
yeah.
They're
doing.
all new to this. She's the
Luke
only one
is-
that's like,
Luke
I know
is
what
new
I'm
to it.
doing.
She's the only one who's a rebel. The
Han
other one else is like
Han is solo, and
Han is solo.
and she's the one that leads the
she's-
charge. And
She's like, great, you rescued me, but look, you almost killed us in a trash compactor. I'm in charge now. Just follow me.
Yeah, and Luke, she's just like, aren't you kind of short?
yeah.
I was like, what a dick.
And the funny thing is, I thought it was hilarious when he did like, oh yeah, I have the mask on, and he takes off the mask, and he's like, I'm Luke, and she's like, I still don't know who the fuck you
She's
are.
like, who are you?
As if like he's like, oh, if I take my helmet off, she'll know who I am.
Yeah. I thought that was like a random thing to say to a stormtrooper, but I guess if she's in prison, she's just gonna fuck with all of them.
Well, actually, that brings
Or
back
maybe she
to
just
like
called
the
them
clone
out.
thing, because if they're all clones, then they should be around the same height,
Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
the same height.
and then that's probably why she's like, are you a stormtrooper? You're kind of short.
Could
Maybe.
be.
And she didn't feel threatened by him at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're not really that threatening.
No, they're not.
I don't know, man. She was tortured earlier on by.
She's tortured with the ball droid that
probe
holds a
droid.
needle.
The
Probe
black
droid.
beach ball. Like a black beach ball with a fork sticking
I wonder
out
where
of it.
that. I wonder where that needle went.
Yeah. Oh, it apparently didn't work.
You know, you did like a motion towards your head, but you made a very squishy sound. So the listeners are gonna be like, "What was that?"
Oh man.
It was the brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, good movie. I liked it. I
That's good.
actually really, because I saw the first half of
So fun.
episode 5. I really want to watch episode 5.
Next episode.
Because that's where the whole iconic, where he cuts open the, what's it called?
The Tauntaun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what sound he makes. I'm just making, I made that up as I went.
There was a lot of sounds that I really like. Like, I don't know if you noticed, I kept trying to mimic the sounds that I heard.
Yes.
The ship sounds you
The
kept
ship's
doing.
like, yeah, it's like,
That's a horrible ship sound.
I don't know how to make the sound exactly, but like, to me it just sounds like
It's
somebody-
horrible, but when you heard that in the first teaser for episode 7, you were like, ah!
Yeah, that's true.
It's such a like I'm listening to it. I'm like I don't hear a ship. I just hear somebody screaming as the ship flies by. Or like the,
Someone's operating that thing with their own harmonics.
there's somebody like the engine is literally somebody pedaling going. Ah! Oh man. What was the other sounds? The Jawas.
Oh yeah, do your Jawas.
I like making like weird voices, and so when I hear all like the aliens talking, I'm like, that's fucking hilarious.
Or R2's whenever he gets hurt.
That's good.
I love that sound because everything else is like. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
I mean, R2 feels pain.
He did a chuckle in there at one point as well. He's like,
It was like,
he was laughing at C-3PO.
Oh man, I was like when I was younger and I used to play Spyro the Dragon. Whenever you hit one of the bad guys, they make a "Wah!" sound. And like I
Oh,
heard like,
Spyro.
a lot of those random sputtering sounds from like the aliens, which I thought was really cool.
Man,
Nice.
they created the world so fucking well.
Yeah. Oh, I was telling you guys earlier that there's that book where they explain how all the sound effects are made in Star Wars.
Yep.
and I need to find it where they have like the speaker on the side, so you can click play, and it plays the sound that they're describing on the page. And they were talking about it's in episode 5, the giant walking tanks.
The AT-ATs?
I guess I don't know.
Oh yeah.
AT-ATs, yeah.
But the sound is made by the stepping sound. They went to like a machinist place, and it was like literally it's a metal cutter of it just slamming down, and they recorded that, and that's the stepping sound.
I can hear that.
That's
sure.
cool.
Yeah, I want to get that book because I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome.
I think we're coming up on an hour.
It's past an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have too much more.
Oh well. I guess
There's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot. Like I want to know what happens next, but like you said, like it didn't leave me with cliffhangers because you said it was originally made to be like the first one.
Yeah, this
itself.
could totally be something on its own. Mm-hmm. Easily.
Yeah, it didn't have a continuing ending really. Just was like, hey, look, they get medals. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, it wasn't like in the Hobbit films where like because in
Where
the
they
Hobbit
look out
movies,
over like a vast army of shit that they're gonna have to fight in a minute, and you're like, oh well, there's the end of the movie now.
Yeah, pretty much. And like in the Hobbit, like the first Hobbit was literally it's the whole story, but they literally just sliced it up so only one movie has the climax. The first movie is just build up. The second part of the movie, there's nothing happens.
Yeah, and
then the
end.
third movie is just nothing but climax. But like, it seems like with the Star Wars movies, it's gonna be each movie has its own arc,
Yep.
which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, even the next one, it doesn't have that Matrix Reloaded ending.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger.
Really,
it's an
the
ending.
episode 1 through 3 are the ones that do that.
Oh, do they?
There's a whole lot of just
Really?
kind of
Episode one
well,
had the same.
Episode 2, I guess,
Maybe like 2 and 3. Well,
yeah,
not 3.
2 and all the way through 3, all the way to the end is just a whole
see,
lot of diplomatic talk. And,
Wouldn't
That goes back to the like how George Lucas originally wanted it. You're just kind of like, it's supposed to be like you're just randomly catching into this episode of whatever it is, and you watch it, and then that's it.
okay.
You could catch it again at another point.
Let me say that the Clone Wars, which was the animated series they had for a couple years, really enhanced episode 3, and its transition to 4.
Okay.
Like they made that movie better because it takes place between 2 and 3.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so if we watch 1 and 2, then I should go watch the Clone Wars.
You're not gonna have time for that. It's
Yeah,
only, it's
that's-
6 seasons, but I mean, there are
Is it
essential.
6 seasons?
Yeah, but
shit.
it's not all of it's essential. I watched it all because I like it, but
It was good what I saw.
like, I think people are a little bit nitpicky about the prequels,
No,
but
I am.
I mean, I totally see where they're not.
So should we still do the sequels or the prequels in their own episode, or should we just watch all 3 of those and make it one podcast episode?
No, I think there's a lot to talk about in all those, but
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess on that note, we can cut off for now.
yeah, lots to
And-
look forward to.
sure.
We're doing episode 5 next.
That's Empire Strikes Back,
Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
and then it's Return of the Jedi.
Nope,
Oh, because we're watching it in your order.
Yeah.
So it's A New Hope.
it's not my order, but
It's not your- we're gonna watch A New Hope, episode 4. What we just did. Then we're gonna watch episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. Episode 1,
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. Episode 2, Clone Wars.
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones.
Yes.
Okay. Episode 3,
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith.
And then
Episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
no.
Yes.
Did he say? Oh, okay. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
That's still
4,
kind of
5,
confusing.
1, 2, 3.
4,
And then-
5, 1, 2, 3, 6,
And then episode 7.
and then
and then
7.
episode
The
7.
Force Awakens.
And the way they're spaced out, hopefully the next one should be 7, which
Awesome.
is gonna be so cool.
We should
So-
watch that movie twice before we podcast
Yeah.
about it.
The episode 7?
Yeah.
so we can catch everything.
That's true. I like that we're watching all of them, rewatching them now.
are you guys talking about doing it back to back?
Do what? Oh, back to back
Oh.
watching. Maybe.
Like go in the morning, watch it, and then have lunch, and then watch it again.
Yeah.
I could do that.
That sounds.
I know I'll be
Definitely
able to do it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Unless it's like Fantastic Four bad.
Nah, I don't think
Which
so.
it won't be.
Did you ever
No.
actually watch it?
No.
Fantastic Four. No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
We'll never do that podcast. Who
No.
are we kidding?
Yeah, we missed
No,
our
we
chance.
should, but let's wait until it comes out on
We'll
DVD.
do it.
No,
We'll,
wait,
Yeah,
that's because
we'll
that
do it
DVD
on
we
a-
missed our chance for theater. But
We'll wait till it comes out on Redbox.
We'll do a podcast of shitty superhero
I'll pay
movies.
$1
Since
for
you
it.
haven't seen a lot of shitty superhero movies,
Oh yeah.
we'll do
and I
some
really
shitty
want to
superhero
do
movies.
Green Lantern because that was a movie that should have been good,
And
could have
wasn't.
been good, and it didn't turn out that way
Okay,
at
yeah, I
all.
haven't seen that one either.
Green Lantern disappointed me absolutely in the CGI department. That movie looked horrible.
Yeah, it was so, and a lot of it is due to
It looked
parallax. We'll talk about it.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
horrible.
That's another. We can have a full episode on that.
Word.
I can talk about just the CGI in that movie for an entire podcast. Holy shit, it was terrible.
That should probably be the next episode. Horrible superhero movies. And I can just Netflix all of them.
There you go.
For the
No,
record, I
okay.
liked Green Hornet, so we're not putting that in there.
No,
I also liked it.
I kind of like Green Hornet.
I haven't watched it.
I saw it in theater.
All right. Well, I guess on that note, this has been the Commentators Podcast. I'm Kramer.
I'm Juan.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Tom.
This
Sometimes.
was... what?
Just leave it be.
This was Kramer Watches Star Wars.
Miniseries.
AKA
Kramer gets touched by the Force in wrong places.
AKA Kramer of the Force Awakens.
And this episode was episode 4, A New Hype. And we'll see y'all later.
Are y'all? I don't know if I'm still doing this, but are y'all still interested in sushi?
Ooh, no.
Not me.
I gotta wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
I'm tired.
Yeah, I don't know. What time is it?
7:30.
I'm going home.